Hello, good morning, or good afternoon, whatever time zone you may be in. I'm D&D Jordan Lee, and welcome to the third of our interludes. I am joined with the absolutely wonderful Finn Archer, aka Kaldrix Kaldrix. Happy to see you, Finn. It's been a minute.
Happy to see you. I feel conditionally awesome this morning because coffee has made me. Uh, we'll go to absolute later, I guess. We're conditionally awesome. We're warming up to absolute.
There you go. Yeah, it's a little early for us. But welcome on in to the third of our interludes, as I mentioned, Kaldrix, MisSpell. These interludes will serve to give us a spotlight into our cast and guest characters with moments from before and during the campaign. Make sure to check out our Patreon, where there will be exclusive behind the scenes first looks, interviews, merch, announcements about our guests, and much more that's happening as well. Make sure to also check out Deodora, Aurea, Toby, and Blackstone's interludes. Blackstone's will actually be airing after this, and then Toby will be the final one for today. We have a bit of a marathon that's happening as well. You can also check out our YouTube and catch up on everything Ampistrano there. We also have now a TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Hive, and we're working on a website. So go follow us on social media because, hey, yay, as well. Finally, make sure to tune in next week, January 21st, for season 2 premiere. Will be happening right here at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with the entire cast. I've had the immense luck of being able to game one-on-one with everybody, but it's been almost 2 months since we've all been gaming together. So, and the group has a lot of catching up to do. So
Ugh.
stay tuned for that. Vin, is there anything you want to plug before we get started?
You can find me on Napster and LimeWire. No, sorry. No, nothing to plug currently, because none of the projects that I'm in are announced to the public yet. So, but just know that you can find me on Twitter at FinnSaysWhat, and that I do have some projects coming up. So just listen out for me.
Amazing. So we're going to go beyond the veil of Ampistrano. If you're ready, Finn.
I'm ready. I'm
All
so
right,
ready.
let's do it. So, our story begins 2.5 years before season 1 started. Before those glimmers of fate connected, and far from the confines of Illipin. We journey eastward, southeastward to be exact, to the capital of Jorix. Jorix sits at the mouth of the Whisperian Sea, the biggest and most formidable of the cities. It is protected by land, sea, and air. The city itself is bisected into different quarters. The docks where merchant ships from far away or just downriver make their way with wares. The temple district, where homage to the pantheon takes place. The God's Acre, where it is the final resting place for many. The Grotto, a large and vibrant market with shops and items from all over. The Hilltops, where nobility and elite live. This is also home to the airship port. Erudite Quarter, where those that wish to hone their skills, whether it be magical or not, learn from books, libraries, and the museo. The Colosseum, where entertainment and battles wage, as well as Crown's Guard honing their own skills. The Crowns, where King Maria and his council sit, ruling over all of Ampistrano, as well as just outside the city, the farming district, where the local produce comes in. Our story, however, takes place within Erudite Quarter, home to scholars, students, and colleges of magic, music, art, history, and more. The most elite and studious study here. Magix, Helm, Param. Those are just a few of the names of the prestigious schools dating back the last 300 years. We focus in on a small dorm room on the second floor at Helm, round about 2 or 3 o'clock on a very rainy, windy day. Outside of the room is a small tree with red and orange leaves that flutter in the wind and rain. We zoom in through the window and find a dragonborn. Then, what does your room look like?
Oh, what does his room look like? Cal's room is cluttered. He is used to not a lot of furniture. I would say like Cal is that kind of guy that he's into minimalism, but only because he can't think through a decor space long enough to design anything more than minimalism. And as a result, there's like not bookshelves, just books. You get the books, not the shelves. Just like stacked in various piles around the room. And small desk, the bed, but that's really it. Like you could see where like as a larger school, there are some like more amenities in the room. I would imagine a school like Helm, if you described it as, you know, one of the Ivy League, then I could imagine they had like magical coffee pots for the students to use, and it's just gathering dust because Cal has just you know, abandoned it, ignored it, and like, you know what? I don't need that. I'm gonna, or I don't. That's not my thing. That's not what I'm used to. And so a lot of these things that are more like metropolitan in nature, he's just kind of, I don't even know what that life's about. And so he has just taken his little burrow that he had back home and just transformed this room into just a carbon copy of his burrow. Just things are stacked and piled everywhere. And Cal would be just on the floor, 4 or 5 books spread out in front of him. And he's, you know, taking notes in a notebook over here, but he's just every now and again will flip through these others. And currently, the notebook shows his class schedule, and he is picking his course schedule for the future semesters. He is trying to plot it out from here to graduation from Helm by flipping through the course texts and figuring out which one he likes better based on the course texts.
Jeez, I guess he's also at the mercy of what's being offered next semester, too.
Truth, like that's it. You know, he's sitting there saying, "Well, if these are my options," and he's already predictive models on what will be offered in future semesters.
1 month into first semester and already planning out the rest of your schooling. That's on brand. What would be some classes that Cal would be interested in taking?
Okay, so being a first year, he's put himself into a lot of the intro classes, but he is focusing on collecting magical knowledge. We had said that he was seeking to be more or less a librarian of magical knowledge, an archivist, if you would. And so he is looking into classes such as spell storing, how to imbue items with magic enchantments, because he'll be looking into a couple of methods of how do you save magical knowledge without writing it down.
Sure.
Sometimes, you know, because that's going to be his bread and butter is going to be writing down magic and keeping magic paper and leather. But he's also just he's looking at things like that. So a lot of enchantment courses that he'll be looking into. He's circled arithmancy and like drawn a couple of arrows towards it
Mm-hmm.
because apparently there's like magic of mathematics now, and he's not sure what that's about. Didn't have that back home. Um, and uh, he has put the entire class on necromancy really far down the list. Like if you looked over his notes, he's like, "This is it's that one class." I don't know, like a lot of us who went to college have that one class that they save for their senior year because it's required
Yeah.
for my degree, but I just don't want to take it.
Yep.
So it ends up being like the second or last semester.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so yeah, you see necromancy like underlined, but it's like moved all the way down, and he's dreading it. So he's picking all out of the classes that deal with imbuing magic into beings or imbuing magic into objects. But yeah, no, the necromancy he's moved real far down the list.
Mm-hmm. And Cal, where you are at currently, this dorm building specifically is for designed as like single rooms, different from like the
Mhm.
suites or the doubles that'll pop up, or even some of the triples if you're in college, um, that can pop up around the space. So this is more of a quieter dorm compared to some of the other spots. That the common areas are a lot smaller. It's almost like it's encouraged to kind of just stay on your own, minus the kind of quad that's outside, which has a walkway to the different buildings, a kind of courtyard with some greenery, where you can see Helm. You can also see the neighboring schools of Magix and Param as well. Those are the most local. The wizard colleges are kind of off on their own, and then there's, of course, the bard schools and even some schools that have opened up recently since reading and writing are now more open, that have kind of popped up as well. Most of the druid schools, there's not many in here. Most of them are outside the city, to be a little bit closer to nature, because this is literally, in every sense of the word, a city. Um, but, question for you, and I think I know the answer, but would Cal have like an on campus job right now?
Uh, hmm. Okay, because I can go two ways with that.
Mm hmm.
In my mind, because I'm trying to predict what Cal would do upon landing. Cal would um certainly be searching out any kind of uh small apprenticeship or just like part-time job where he could be around, more books, more knowledge and everything. Um, he would also likely see if the druids ever hired out hands from outside the school because he came from a farming community. He came from an agrarian
Mm hmm.
kind of background. And even though he didn't want to follow in, the family business there, quote unquote business, uh, then he still has those skills. He still knows his way around a mill, and so he would have potentially looked that way. And you say he's only been at school about a month, yeah?
Correct. About a month.
Then he will have put some feelers out, and if either of those have got a bite, he would have those jobs. But other than lending a hand with the druids or trying to sign on part-time with a bookseller, uh, he would be that guy who goes to class, goes to his dorm, and goes to the mess hall, maybe.
Mm hmm. Understood. So as you were sitting there, um, kind of going through your potential future at Helm, you hear a slight noise and two envelopes slip underneath your doorway.
Okay. Um,
both addressed Mr. Dorak. 38 Springwood. That's the name of the building that you were in, the dorm room.
Guys, 38 Springwood.
Yep.
Cal does not stand up. He just kind of like pops up more than all fours situation.
Sure.
And, well, because, Dragonborn, so he doesn't have to go hand to knees. He has those articulated ankle situations.
Sure.
And so he goes up more to like a all-four situation, scampers to the door, kind of scoots the envelopes towards him, and then, thank you, I think.
Yeah, whatever. You just hear another...
Right, okay.
Student who's clearly just delivering the mail, any mail that's come in during this week. This would be the equivalent of like a Friday. So, and you just hear the little cart being rolled down the down the hallway, off to oblivion. But leaving you with these two small letters. They're not large envelopes by any means. They're like two... Sorry, I keep wanting to sneeze, y'all. It's not happening.
Oh, you're doing fine.
Literally like letter size. Parchment. Both have the Helm seal on them. One, you can tell by reading it, is from your inquiry with the druids about, hey... you hiring kind of thing. And then the other is actually from, there are 4 libraries at Helm. So it is from the North Library, which is the closest one to you. Seemingly, it looks like they may be giving you an update about your job search. I feel like Cal is just literally trying to plan out whole life.
Oh, yeah.
Whole
100%. It's just, and maximize the time. And that's the whole reason he's on the floor, like, doing the schedule. He's already done the homework for the next day at school, so he's like, I don't have anything to do that will push me forward. I have literally done everything, and I'm waiting. I'm sitting at the loading screen for the next level, and I am
Cal is the college student that also takes classes on the weekends.
Right. He'll do a Maymester. Yep. He'll do that. He'll do that 3 weeks in the summer to avoid 2 semester hours, or not to avoid 2 semester hours. Tack on 2 semester hours that he couldn't get in the fall. And so he rolls over onto his back and opens up the library letter first. Okay. And so he's lying on his back and holding this in front of his snoot, trying to figure out what's going on here.
The letter opens. And in a very neat, crisp, cursive writing. Dear Mr. Jorix, thank you so much for your inquiry into seeing if we are currently employing any first-year students to our library. We do have one vacancy, but especially with first-year students getting settled in, we would want to offer a kind of probationary... you see literally almost like there's a pause. Experiment to see if you might be a good fit for this. So, you are welcome to come to our office tomorrow at noon to shadow for the afternoon to see what we're kind of all about. Even though we are a library, it gets quite busy, as you can imagine. But we'd be happy to see if you could potentially be a fit here and further help in your success as well as ours. Sincerely, Delilah.
Cal's eyes shoot up to the top of the letter to see if there is a date, because when they say tomorrow, that is relative to what date?
It is today.
Well, okay, about to say. Tomorrow is today. Tomorrow's today.
Tomorrow is tomorrow. It's Saturday is the date that they are talking about. The date of this letter is today, the Friday.
It. Okay.
Yes. Let me specify that, because I'm like, it's 2-3 o'clock. You would have missed that appointment already. So
I was about to say, I don't know how long it took, cart friend out there to get me these letters. So
Not long.
Depending on the speed of campus mail, especially if Helm is going low budget and having students deliver mail instead of you would think there would be some kind of
that mail
enchanted.
usually comes in on Fridays, so
Yeah.
it's usually that's the date.
That works. The standard.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So to make sure he sees this. So tomorrow at noon, the North Library, you say?
Yes, the North Library.
All right. The North Library. And he notes that he goes ahead and he folds that up and opens up the letter from the Druids.
The letter from the Druids. This one is written on a crisp green. Honestly, think of like the Christmas paper.
Right.
See in classrooms and stuff, with a silver ink. And this one, not as elegantly written, but you do get relatively the same kind of idea of thank you very much for your interest. That's a big undertaking, especially since it's all the way on the opposite side of the city. You're more close to where the ocean is, Whispering Sea, and it's on the complete opposite side. So that would be definitely a bit of a trek, but they admire your fire to want to to do that. Offering summarily, they would love to meet with you, help out on one of the farms with a family. Hang on, I had the name a second ago. Tenoras, the Tenora family, which they do mention as a family of 5, that is looking for some assistance on the farm itself. They specifically are focusing in on potatoes, corn, pumpkins, because it's the season, about to be kind of harvesting all of that. They would welcome you on Sunday at 3 o'clock for kind of a afternoon tea. And this letter doesn't have a specific name. It just says instead the Autumn Order, which you know to be the Druid order for Jorix.
Nice. All right. Okay, so Cal will fold up that letter as well. And he stays laying on his back, just kind of staring up at the ceiling.
Mm-hmm.
And he'll kind of slide those letters off to the side where they're with the rest of them. And he reaches to the side, up near his head, and taps a book that's next to his head. And just kind of gives it a little double tap. And from the gem embedded in the book's cover comes the little holographic copy of Cal, and as he pops up, the schools of magic are abjuration, conjuration, divination, and Drix. No, we're not doing a presentation. We're all right. Oh, just us two then. Right. Okay, so I'm gonna eventually find a way for you to know what's outside of your book before I call you up. All right, yeah. That's a good one. So what are we doing? What are we doing today? Well, first of all, I was taking notes and scheduling. Taking notes without me. Honestly, the nerve. You place me here. You put enough of us in this cover for one job, and then you start doing it without me. What are we doing here, Cal? Oh, I'm sorry. I just it was more scheduling, really, and I thought you wouldn't be interested. Wouldn't be interested. You know that I'm the part of you that's literally interested in everything. There is no uninteresting topic. You know that, right? Right, Rix, right. Sorry. But in any case, if you'd like to help with some scheduling, coming up then, we just got the post, and the library in the north is looking for some help, so they did respond to the query there. Delilah would be looking for us to meet with them at 12 at noon then. I believe it is more of a trial basis, a shadowing situation, to see if the library would be an acceptable place for us. And then a Sunday, there'd be a family of druids. The Tenoras would be meeting us for tea at 3 o'clock Sunday. Drix, could you remind me of both of those? Preferably, just to make sure I don't over-fixate. Oh, of course. When do you want me to remind you? Yeah, remind me when I forget. Oh, okay. When are you gonna forget? Right. See, if I knew that, then I would remember. Bedtime, Drix, bedtime reminders. Bedtime reminders it is. Very well. All right, so you're gonna go to learn how to get organized, which I can see will be no struggle. And then you're gonna go for tea, which you're always fantastic at, aren't you now? Right, Drix, right. It's new things. It's new life here. We didn't come here to sit and read alone. Yep, that's what your mom said. You didn't come here to sit and read alone. Right, that's what Ma said. It wasn't to come and be alone. So, do you want to look over the course schedule, the course offering, Drix? It'd be delighted, so kind of you to ask. And so he scoots the spell book with Drix near to the, I'm picturing more of not a broad window, but a very utilitarian, narrow, tall window on the exterior wall of his dorm room. And so he is basically in the corridor of that light that's kind of shooting slightly diagonally. He's just got his books laid out inside that row, and that's where he was before. And so he scoots his spell book back in front of that and starts looking over his schedules again, and arguing with himself the merits, literally arguing with himself the merits of each of these specializations.
Love it. And that takes you through the rest of the afternoon. We're now approaching the dinner hour.
Okay, so as dinner starts coming around, Cal will have noticed that the beam of light he's got the books in, which every hour or so he slides stay in the light. As soon as the beam of light touches his bed, that's how he knows.
It's that, as well as usually right around dinner time. It seems like Helm is very aware of the fact that its students are usually going to be studying the majority of the time. So the candles that are around your room on the kind of chandelier above you, as well as on your bedside table, on your desk, do kind of slowly flicker to life as the afternoon, especially on this rainy day, which wasn't giving you much sunlight to begin with.
Oh, okay. Should have checked the weather report when I.
You were getting a little bit of the light because it was more of like today for me is a gray day. It's I'm getting a little bit of that, so you were getting a little bit, but no, you're definitely almost otherwise sitting in pitch black at this point until those lights come on, kind of letting you know, hey, it's about time for dinner.
Oh, right. Okay, all right, time to go. I should go to dine then, shouldn't I? it's important, if you don't want to starve. Okay, right. Okay, so go into dining. If I leave now, uh, all the lights just came on, so I'm not the only one that got the reminder. If I leave now, I'd probably be in more of the rush, right? There'd be a crowd at the door, long line. If I read for another half hour, I could probably go and still make it before they close some of the better options. But after the lines died down, um, and then if problem is if I wait for too long, they did have that one. They did have that one stew bar or the soup bar last time with that ran out of the beef stew too soon. So, Cal, would you just walk toward the door? You don't have to go straight to the dining hall if you see a line, but you can walk about and be out of the room. Right. Okay. So, well then. Um, he starts grabbing a few books that he's gonna take with him, and
Sure.
yeah, exactly. So
Yep.
you see him pick up one book, two books, three books. As he grabs the fourth book, Drix goes, "Too much, three max." And and why did I introduce you to Ma before I left? And so then he grabs up the spell book that Drix is a part of, throws those things into his satchel and puts his satchel on, and from the satchel, so I'll just be here then. Right. I'll pull you back out when I finally sit down to eat, but just, take a nap or something. It'll be fine. I'll let you know when we're ready to get back to work. All right. I'll stay at work. I'll just be studying. I don't have to stop. And then Cal walks out his door and starts to head down and out of the dorm room to see just what the social density is like between here and the dining hall.
Okay. You step out onto your dorm floor. It's
Right.
quiet. There's carpet that goes across a dark wood. Maybe it's cedar, maybe it's some kind of mahogany. Who knows? Um, but the rug kind of helps to muffle some of the noise as that's happening. The walls themselves, it's got high ceilings, but the walls itself are kind of split. So that way wood paneling goes up about halfway, and then it's more of like a stone of white goes up above, kind of making an archway. And then there are these planks of wood that meet to allow for a chandelier to kind of hang down. They are high up, about 10 or 15 feet up above. So for some students, you do notice that they sometimes have to maneuver around the chandeliers depending on their height. But there's no one in the hallway. You head downstairs and find yourself kind of in the entrance area, which has kind of like a pool table. No one's there. It's got a fresh layer of dust on it, just because everyone's kind of studying. You do notice that a couple of people are sitting on different couches, studying books. Some are, you can see, kind of concentrating, seem to be focusing on spells. No one acknowledges you. You all seem to be very much in your own galaxies, kind of moving around this campus in a very similar trajectory, but just on different points. You take
It's like an ant colony. How is no one running into each other?
Kind of. But this college is the sun. You all are just moving around it. But you do see it's raining outside. Do you have a hood or something?
Yeah, Cal is going to grab he had the cloak or the kind of blanket that he always carries with him, like the all-purpose
Mm-hmm.
blanket cloak, has been like over his shoulder, more like a sash.
Sure.
And he unpins it and opens it up, throws it over his head and repins it just you know, right above or right at the collarbone, and make sure that it's, you know, encompassing his bag and everything. But then he makes sure at the door he's wearing his not his finest, not his you said this is Saturday then, yeah?
It's a Friday. Your
You said it's Friday.
meeting is Saturday. Yes.
Right, okay. So you know, we're going into the weekend. He's not dressing up the best. He's just got more like a tunic style shirt on and his kilt. And before he walks out the door, he actually pulls his tail up between his legs, and he kind of throws it or holds it in the crook of one elbow.
Mm-hmm.
Double duty to make sure that his tail's not dragging the ground in the rain.
Sure.
And also, it kind of like, as it makes this motion, it kind of gathers up his kilt in like this, in like that kind of like, if you've ever seen someone gird themselves when they're wearing a robe, tie the center of the robe up. So he has girded his kilt with his tail, and also he's keeping it off the ground before he heads out the dorm.
Okay.
He looks like the most awkward, scared Tumnus right now.
I was picturing that, but also like a combination of that and Inspector Gadget.
Right.
A little bit. You step onto the cobblestoned road. The quad is around you. There's not a lot of trees here. It's a lot of open space in this area because this is right, you know, they wanted to give you some quiet space. So there's a kind of a field in front of you with the cobblestones going directly across, directly straight in front of you, and then off to the side again, kind of leading towards the other half of the campus. But interspersed with that, there are wide areas of normally green. We're in the fall months. So there's a lot of dead leaves that are kind of all over the place. You do see several students running in the rain. Some of them holding a... why don't you do an Arcana check?
Ooh, okay. Dice roll!
I feel like Cal would be quizzing himself to see if he knows what spell people are using as he's walking.
Definitely. As soon as he notices magic. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and say that when he said, "Thank you, I guess," to the letter coming in, it was just to check if that was a person.
Sure.
Versus if it was like, did these magically arrive here? And if so, I would want to... Honestly, knowing that there was a person outside, he did not open the door to say like a personal thank you. But if he had known that it was a spell, he'd instantly go to investigate.
Oh yeah, no, that's the introvert dream of like, oh yeah, no one's there. So yeah, why don't you roll an Arcana?
All right. So his that's 21 on Arcana because rolled a 16 and plus 5 on that.
I'm gonna describe it. I'm actually curious if you will know what spell I'm describing.
Let's see if my Arcana is as good as
yeah. So you see a small tiefling, honestly about 3 or 4 feet. They seem to be half tiefling, maybe half gnome, running in the rain. And up above them, they seem to have, it almost looks like a plate of glass that they're just kind of holding up above. It's hovering over their hand, super thin, almost like a sheet of ice. And it is directly surrounding them in a small, we would say radius of about a square for them, but it's just around themselves. So the rain is kind of moving off of this form.
Did they cast floating disc?
No.
Oh, okay,
Wall of
okay, okay.
Force. They did a small wall of
Wall of
force.
Force.
Yeah.
Oh, they just miniaturized it.
Yeah.
Got it. I'm gonna miniaturize Wall of Force.
Yep. So they have a little miniaturized wall of force that they are using to.
Ah, right, because floating disc hovers above the ground, not where you say it hovers.
It's our world. Who cares?
It is our world.
Who cares?
In fact, that's what Cal's whole deal is like. How do we alter magic? Does it always have to be cast the same way?
Hmm. So, you do see them going. Most people are ducking into buildings at this point. There are a number of cafes, mess halls, things of that nature in the area. So it really just depends on what you were kind of looking for. Are you looking for uh, a quick grab, sit down, or I don't know, something fancy?
Cal did not come here on Daddy's dime, I'll say. He like he's not a society student.
Sure.
He's not the I'm sorry, I actually grew up right next to a college town, so I saw every variety of college student
Yep.
whenever I would go into town. And so um so you do learn like pretty quickly the commonalities between different college students and
Yes, you do.
he's the scholarship dude. He got here. Um, he is the just happy to be here guy, and
Sure.
so he is probably if there are multiple options for his meal plan,
Mm-hmm.
he's just going in somewhere that would be the quieter
Okay.
mess hall. But he's definitely going somewhere that is already covered by his room and board.
Oh, 100%. Um, there's one that's not far. It is very small though. But you do know it's typically quiet when it's not busy. So why don't you do this? Roll
Mhm.
a dexterity to see how quickly Cal is moving. How motivated is he to get nourishment versus
Right.
nourishment of the stomach versus nourishment of the brain kind of thing?
Right. How hungry is
Yeah,
Cal?
how
Apparently
hungry?
quite hungry.
Okay.
All right, so just a straight dexterity check, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, that's a dirty 20.
Okay, yeah,
Um,
you're motivated. You just, have two interviews. You need to, make sure that you are all set and ready to go and not hungry tomorrow because, you can sometimes get a little bit more ravenous
I
when
don't
that
know if any of our
happens.
viewers know of the concept of neurodivergence, but
Mm-hmm.
there's often times where you have been horizontal for very long periods
Yeah.
doing any kind of studying you like, and as soon as you get vertical, your hunger goes from 0 to 20.
We speak from
Um,
experience, yes.
and therefore, Cal is feeling just all the energy to
Sure.
alleviate his new alignment.
I also feel like, too, it might be a little bit of Cal rushing to get the food so he can eventually get back to the dorm to see if maybe he can outsmart Drix a little bit.
Oh yes, because he's he's feeling that strain between yes, he actually does want to uh branch out and meet people
Sure.
in theory.
Sure.
He when he's inside the room, the idea of meeting new people is exciting.
Sure.
He crosses the threshold of the door, and I should probably go back in the room and plan my
Yep.
opening monologue better.
Yep. No, that's a
So,
whole
yes,
thing. Yeah.
he is trying to find the path of least social interaction to food and then back to the room.
Mm-hmm. So you head past a line of buildings, which you know to have. Sometimes this is where the buildings are, where like some of the magics kids will come over. I say kids, students, as well as Param. Especially once you get past your first year, it's not uncommon for students to kind of be jumping around from colleges to colleges, and they share those rooms.
Mhm.
Um, those have a lot of the bigger lecture halls when it comes to the different colleges as well. So you passed large line of those stoned buildings that have, of course, large kind of pillars or towers ranging and reaching up into the sky as that happens. You continue down the path, not a lot of students, but after a moment you do see that there is a kind of, it looks almost like the underside of a bridge. It's a cutout from a building, and you see that there is a small wooden door, red, which kind of stands out against the building itself, which is all kind of dark. But this is where the small cafe, quick food, but also very quiet. And you're hoping it's not busy.
Yep.
All right.
So he and you said that it's like if this is like a underbridge walk through cutout, it's just in the side of that tunnel.
Correct. Yes.
Okay. So so Cal will hurry up to the door. Are there windows he could see into it before entering, or he just...
No, it's honestly, I've been to a place like this before. It is a place that literally does not have windows on the front. That's one of the reasons it's quiet, because it has
utilitarian.
that.
Yes.
So yes, you just have that door, which has like a very small kind of eye level window, but otherwise, like, it's really hard to kind of see fully in. You maybe make out a couple of candles that are on some tables. Think of like a coffee shop kind of vibe. You know that this is what you're going to come in, so it's a little bit darker, it's a little quiet, not a lot of noise.
All right.
Typically.
Okay, and would this be more of a knock to enter kind of situation, or walk right in?
Oh, walk right in.
All right, so he walks right in there, and he doesn't really go full bore into the room.
Sure.
He just kind of steps in, sidesteps the door, let it close behind him, and he's removing his hood, or re-straightening his kilt and doing all the things that he's needing to do before he approaches to or I don't know if it's an order or self-serve play, but he is kind of rearranging himself as he takes in the room.
Okay. You walk into a it's bigger than your dorm, but not by much. A 20 by 20 room that has a counter to the side. The room itself is really dark, minus the candles that are kind of spruced around the place. The actual kind of counter is a dark green, not like a forest. It's like a really dark teal. The walls themselves are a mix of black and silver. Honestly, it kind of gives you the vibe of almost being in a cave, but also almost being underwater. There are portraits that are on the wall. There are several tables, 1 and 2 seaters. There is a couple of, words. Booths.
There we go.
It was there.
I almost suggested booths, but I didn't want to interrupt your thought there.
I was like, I could picture it. Give me a minute. Booths.
He saw booths.
Yeah, there's a couple of booths.
Booths.
Google Meets. There we go. That are kind of in the corners of the actual shop. You immediately get hit with some roasted potatoes with rosemary and garlic. Of course, some steak. Not, for a fact, it's not the fancy kind. It's going to be cutting into cardboard. But it smells good. Of course, there's some soups, there's a butternut squash bisque. There's a, trying to think what some other things that would be on it. There's some apple pies. This thing has lots of little dishes, but what's unique about it is everything is served in a little cauldron. So literally the steak is almost shoved in how you would do nachos kind of thing. And it comes to the table warm. But that's how they serve everything here. There's a couple people behind the counters. You know, everyone in here is a college student of some kind, and I say college, graduate, doctorate, whatever they might be doing.
University types.
University types, very much. So a lot of people are sitting there with books. Luckily, today is a day where there's not a lot of people in it. I would say of the place itself, there's maybe about 5 or 6 other patrons besides you at this time.
Right. So, Cal then, did you say it was self-serve or that there was an attendant that he needed to order from?
I think there is an attendant at the counter. Well, several. There are 3 of them. One is kind of working kind of the drink coffee kind of station, which is more in the back. There's a little window behind them that you can see that there is a chef kind of working. Again, another college student. But clearly this is one of the college students that's doing an internship from one of the Bard schools. Doing their expression and oh my god, y'all, words. Inspiration through cooking versus anything else. So
we're getting those Pokemon modifiers and level ups with these meals tonight.
Kind of.
This one will give you +2 to find shinies. This one will.
Yeah, like the Gorgon Hamsey is kind of working in the kitchen right now.
Gorgon Hamsey.
Gorgon Hamsey is working there. You know, like, you can trust them with your food 100%.
All of the snake hair getting ingredients. Gorgon Hamsey.
Gorgon Hamsey. Listen, it was the first thing that popped into my head. So
the steak tastes like stone. I'm sorry. I'm done. You punned me. You punned me in the face, and I can't not.
I feel. Anyway, so you can approach the counter. You do see a very annoyed looking half-elf. She is sitting at the counter, chewing some kind of like candy, probably gum, looking very annoyed and very bored. Clearly has a book propped up against the counter. It's kind of like if you've seen those baristas that have their phone kind of just behind the cash register. Yeah, it's kind of just clearly still studying, but is helping out various patrons, but very much looking annoyed. Has bright green hair that's tied up into a bun. Wearing clearly a uniform of a black t-shirt with a blue apron. Think of like a royal blue. That has a little cauldron with their name on. Because yes. And yeah.
3 pieces of flair.
Yep. Well, minimum. 100%. Is wearing like a seaweed choker necklace. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
But that's what you see at this moment.
Okay, so Cal then approached the counter. He's like looking at all the options and smelling all the food. And, hi, hello. Good evening.
What's up?
Just I wanted to see if it wouldn't be too much trouble. Just a couple of the butternut squash bisque, please.
You want a cup?
Is that the technical size? I mean, I thought it was all. Just the one cauldron size.
She rolls her eyes and stops over to the right. All right, we got your cup cauldron, you got your bowl cauldron, and then you got the large cauldron. Which one?
I'll take the bowl. I'll take the bowl. Let's say. No, large. That's it. Final answer. Final answer.
That's what I thought.
Large.
Okay. And you see she quickly takes those items back. Gorgon. Soup. Bisque. Don't burn it. You just hear this. Gorgon doesn't say a word as this is kind of happening. Okay, that will be... Do you have your mail card?
Oh, yeah, right. And he reaches into his... little satchel. He pulls out his meal card. There you go, then.
She takes it and looks at you, almost like checking ID. to make sure it's you. Okay.
Cal tries to like imitate the same smile as on the ID. Like,
I imagine it's like camera zooms in on the fit, and then we lower it. It's the same exact picture expression, portrait.
I don't know if anyone else ever did that, but like,
no, yeah,
like that thing where you first got your ID and you first started getting checked for things.
Mm-hmm.
You had that mild panic in your brain where like, oh, I've had a haircut since then. They're not gonna think I match.
Oh, especially when you first get your license and stuff. Yeah, that's such a thing.
And so he's like trying to make sure, oh, she's checking to see if my face matches. Let me match my face.
She stamps your meal card, because you do see on the back of it, it has, and it does refresh each week, but it's basically they stamp whenever you check in for a meal, because you have so many meals in a week. And then that refreshes, and they let you know of like, oh, you have 300 meals left in the semester or whatever it is.
Right.
So she stamps it, gives it back to you, and then she points down further to the counter near where that other assistant was, where that's where your order will be popping out when it's ready.
All right, thank you then. Enjoy your read, and then he like puts the card back into his bag, and he starts to move down. Can he get a line of sight on Gorgon now?
Yeah. You see, there's the grand window, so you see he's working. You can't see exactly what he's working on because the counter, the window itself where it cuts is right about here. So you're seeing up above, but you can see he's working hard. You see appears to be a half Gorgon. He's got one horn, and the other one appears to have had some kind of injury because half of it is gone. And he is working. He's got gray skin, is wearing a black chef jacket with the little cauldron on the side.
Oh, love that.
Is just heavily into it. You also see on the right side, there is a yellow kind of pin, which you know represents one of the Bard colleges. That is Illotro. Illotro is one of the Bard colleges specifically that focuses on basically the study of cooking and the expression that can come from it. It's a relatively new school, came about in the last 30 years, so doesn't have a lot of attendees. So to see someone from there is kind of like seeing an elephant in your backyard kind of thing. It's a little bit strange. But I'm not questioning it too much because, hey, you're in a college town.
Right. There's a new thing to see every time you turn around. All right, so trying to not look like he's staring at someone while they do their job, but also trying to just clocking Gorgon back there and trying to wait for his meal to come up, but at the same time he's interested in what kind of magic might be going on back there.
Sure. Why don't you do another Arcana check?
Because he is picking up on that Bard School pin and thinking, oh, Bards do magic, but how does that even work? So that's gonna be a 17.
17? It's a little difficult just because Bard magic is a little bit different than wizard magic, but...
Magnets, how do they work?
Yeah, magnets, but you are picking up that he seems to be, muttering under his breath some kind of, inspiration, blessing, just trying to, boost. After a moment you smell some burning. Probably the smell was a little too powerful for that steak he was working on, or the burger, or whatever it might be. And you hear him be like, shite, and he'll quickly pull out another to kind of work on. It's definitely more of cantripy kind of spells, just trying his very best. Not having
in the herd, yeah. Point, in dirty,
yeah. Kind of just trying his best, which is honestly all you can do sometimes, truthfully. So
now we've made the Gordon Ramsay Swedish Chef Muppet.
Yeah.
conglomeration
That's gonna be
in
our new
Gorgon.
merch. That's gonna be merch.
Gorgon Hamzy,
Gorgon Hamzy.
the
Yeah,
bard chef. Love him.
you after about like 5 or 10 minutes, your bisque does come out in a cauldron.
Nice.
Pretty large cauldron. They do give you a tray with utensils, napkin, water, because it's good to hydrate.
Yep.
And yeah, you are left to kind of choose where you want to sit. There are a bunch of tables. There's several booths that are available. Like I said, there's several students that are kind of all over the place, kind of in their own orbit.
Right. Cal will try to go for the holy grail of a corner booth.
Okay.
In any public dining establishment, and if that is taken, he's basically just going to find anywhere. He's going to try to stay close to the wall. Try to be more out of the center of everything, and somewhere that he can just
Are you people
scarf
watching?
up this food. Yeah, and people watch. Scarf up the food, and he'd rather be an observer than be observed.
Sure. So we'll say that you are grabbing the booth towards when you came in. It's on the left in the back.
Right.
That wall. So that way you could still watch the chef, maybe guess, quiz yourself on what else they might be casting. Maybe gander a look at what the half-elf was reading behind the counter.
Mm-hmm.
Things like that. A couple other folks have entered the I keep wanting to say shop, the tavern that you're in after you, and they get their food. A small water genasi boy, seems to be about 4 or 5 feet, but just his movement and his body is shifting constantly. So one moment he's very lengthy, and then the next he's kind of shrinking a bit to almost a gnomish kind of stature as he shifts around. Seems very bored, and does have several books. He sits at with where your booth is at. He sits kind of where behind you, so it's the opposite side at a small table, and quickly pulls out a book, starts reading. And as you're sitting there, Cal, you hear him reading from this pretty large tome. And he just mutters a word. Juve. And there's smoke that starts filling the room. And that's where we're going to take our break.
What the?
So, we're going to take a quick 10-minute break, y'all. Come on back. Go get some water. Go stretch. Go grab some food, because we've been talking about food. And we'll be back here in about 10 minutes to see what's going on.
Yeah, why are we fogging up the place?
Why are we fogging up the place?
No vaping inside.
And all of that stuff. So go do that. Go check out our Patreon too, if you have a second, because we have a lot of really cool stuff in the works, including Cal's playlist, which is coming next month. So go check that stuff out, and we'll be back shortly. Bye, everybody. See you in a moment.
Yeah, look, bye.
The Clapper.
Easy to.
I'm bored.
We can go scream at the cat for another hour.
Nah, I'm tired of screaming at the cat.
Shut up with that! Be bored no more with 1985 games. Enjoy their vast variety of products and help bring your tabletop to a whole new level. With easy-to-use dungeon sticky notes. The deck of stories holds prompts and adventure hooks for any setting, and thousands of cutout game pieces with their dungeon craft.
You've come all this way for nothing, fool! The princess is mine! You'll never get away with this, Malapore!
Write everything down in your Hero Notes journal and start your adventure today! Visit the World Wide Web address 1985games.com and find many helpful products such as their Dungeon Craft series, battle maps, deck of stories, miniatures, dungeon notes, and now VHS dice. Again, that's 1985games.com.
And welcome back, everybody. I hope you were able to get up, stretch, get some food, and be kind to yourself because you deserve it. We are back at it with Finn playing as Cal. If you're just joining us, or if you need a quick refresher, because, hey, it's been a minute, we saw Cal at college, Helm, which is one of the wizard schools in Jorix, and planning out their life, their student life, at least, was given two kind of potential job offers to help out, the lovely student employment that can happen. One with the Autumn Order, which is the Druid's Order. They have a kind of interview on Sunday, as well as with the North Library of Helm. And that is going to be happening Saturday, the next day. After those letters and some more studying, Cal ended up leaving the dorm room in the rain and heading towards a small tavern, meeting a not-so-friendly half-elf, as well as Gork and Hamzy, who's a bard chef, trying his best. And Cal had grabbed some bisque and was in a corner, when a water genasi wandered over with their food and pronounced a word out loud, and all of a sudden the room filled with smoke. So that's what you missed if you're just joining us. But Finn, are you ready to go back beyond the veil?
Let's go, baby.
Okay. So, the room fills with smoke, and you hear lots of students coughing. You yourself start to inhale this very burnt ichor that's kind of in the air. Think of like tar, that smell, filling the entire room. I need you to roll a D100, please.
Right. Okay. We'll do that. I thought I had both of my D10s right next to me, but I only have one of them. I will grab the other. Good thing all of my dice stay close at hand. That is a 57.
57.
Did we just wild magic? Oh my god, if we just wild magic.
No, I was curious to see what the reaction of this spell would be, and you just chose it. So,
okay.
Okay. As you're kind of sitting there, you and coughing at the same time, you feel yourself starting to sink. And all of a sudden, yeah, kind of like that. Your body, I'm trying to think of a way to frame it. Your body doesn't have like a form. You know how your bones kind of anchor you into place? It's like your jello. Your entire body is just blob. You're still Cal, you're still a dragonborn. Your actual like features have not shifted to blob form like your future party mate Aurea when she turned into a blob. But
so gooey.
You're very think of like those balloons. Yeah. Yeah.
Wacky waving arm, inflatable tube man.
Arm. And you can feel yourself slinking like slowly out of the table as the fog is filling the room, and you can hear that it's happening to other people as well. As kind of this weird kind of squelching noise is starting to permeate through.
Squelching.
Yes.
The best.
I have to
the best
commit.
noise
I said
ever.
the word already, so I have
you
to
said
commit.
it.
You do hear Gorgon Hamsey alarmed behind the window, and you just see the freaking out behind there as that is happening as well. As the smoke clears.
Oh, the smoke is that was very quick dissipating smoke.
It's dissipating slowly, but it's disappearing.
Well, I'm guessing if everyone's kind of going to the floor, even if we're keeping our basic shape, we're losing muscle control or structure.
Yep.
And so Cal will oh no, this is not, and this is he did his bag stay with him, or did he just like kind of leave his bag
like right there? Your bag is right there. You can still move.
Right.
It's just you have to really concentrate hard in order.
All right.
It's like if you ever have had those days where you've woken up, you know mentally you need to get up and there's things to do, but your body is just heavy and you're really comfy. And
everything goes into manual.
Yeah, you really have to motivate yourself to kind of move and really focus in on that. But your bag is up above you as you've kind of slunk to the floor.
Right. So he's going to he's going to the floor, and he'll try to like roll over to his stomach and like try to like again crawl back to his he's like, oh, he's thinking all right, stay stable, and he's trying to 4 legs are better than 2. trying to make his way back to his bag because his
It's
first
just
instinct.
above you. You didn't
Okay.
wander far. It's literally
Got it,
right
got
above
it.
you in the chair.
So as he reaches for his bag, he's gonna pull out his spell book. He looks in the direction of the booth where he heard the word that kind of set all this off.
So it wasn't a booth he was in. He was directly
Okay.
behind you. So when you were sitting in the booth, you were facing this way. He was facing the opposite way in this like smaller kind of table.
Got it.
So your vision is obscured because of the seat. You would need to kind of maneuver out to see the water genasi.
All right. So Cal will do just that. He reaches into his bag, sets the book on the floor in front of him, and kind of at the same time he's like leaning out around the just enough to clear that backing to see if he can get a look at this water genasi who cast the spell and see if he's
Okay.
if they're similarly affected by whatever just happened.
Make a perception check for me, please.
Oh, nat 20.
Nice. Okay. So, one thing to note, and maybe this is the reason why you're so hyper-focused. You say you're picking that book.
All right.
You are moving at a sloth pace. It is taking you forever to get there. You do get it. But your brain is moving so much quicker than your body is in that moment. So that may be why you're so focused in on, okay, I have the book, I am going to put it down, let me see, and you were like already starting that movement of doing that. They have also been impacted. With a nat 20, you can pick up everyone in this entire tavern has been impacted and is dealing with similar afflictions of this as well.
Then Cal will, double tap the book and Drix pops up. The 6 schools of magic are, abjuration, conjuration, divination. Drix, it's not the time. Sorry. Like whenever you call me up, I feel like you're just prancing me out to show people again. We're past. I told you, we're past the application process. We're past the interview process. I don't wake you up just to show people. Sometimes it's to talk to you. Oh, okay. Well, old habits die hard, don't they? Yeah, but you could just say hello. When I said, oh yeah, just a simple hello. Yes, a simple hello would work just fine in the future. All right. Well, in that case, what happened to you? Cal will say, well, see, that's exactly what I wanted to know then, Drix. Could you please help me with detected magic at the moment? Oh, certainly. And points his finger up in the air, and green ribbons explode out of his fingers, cover the whole room. Casting detect magic.
Okay. As you do that, I'm going to go based off of your perception roll 2 that you just rolled. One thing you also notice, it's after a minute or two, because you're hearing noises as people are freaking out in various degrees.
Right.
And there was a slight head tilt to Drix as you started speaking. You're not speaking common. You're not speaking a language you are familiar with at all.
So the conversation with Drix still went through.
Happened. Drix understood, but was able to comprehend languages super quick in order to completely understand what you were saying.
Right.
You were not speaking a language that is very common or super well known in this case.
But when Cal hears himself, does he still hear? He still hears what he thinks he's saying, or does he?
It's a mix of that as well as some gurgling.
Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of like honestly like Flubber when he's yeah. Talking to the professor. It's a mix of that, and your detect magic would also pick up on the fact that Drix just cast comprehend languages to make sure that he understood what you were saying. But that's just one thing to kind of note as the spell is kind of taking place. It's rather strange, but you seem to be fluent in it. Like, whatever it is, that knowledge has kind of been ingrained into you super quick. Again, you don't know what it is, but doesn't matter. The name of the language in this moment doesn't matter because you understand.
Right.
So detect magic sets in as the green ribbons fly around the room, connecting. I imagine almost sniffing out the remnants of the magic, almost like a guard dog kind of doing its business. And detect magic, all it is able to give you is some kind of transmutation kind of magic.
Right.
That involves liquefaction.
Apparently.
That's all it's able to give you. The fact that it's not able to give you more, I'll ask this. Cal, since you yourself have created several things, what would that lead you to believe?
This is a homebrew, or it's either a homebrew or one that maybe a ritual spell that someone skipped a step in the ritual. So either it's intentionally altered spell or an unintentionally altered spell.
Yeah.
A flubbered spell, if you will.
Sure.
They flubbed the spell.
They flubbed the spell. So with that knowledge, because again, I'm going off of what you're getting from the detect magic, as well as, oh god, am I finally gonna sneeze? Nope. So
the eternal struggle, guys.
It's been happening for an hour. With that knowledge in place, actually, what would Cal know about trying to reverse a spell in terms of the effect of it and how to counteract it?
He would know that the best way to reverse a spell is by the caster. Whoever was connected to the cast of that spell, either, dropping concentration if it's a concentration thing, a decision by the caster, usually is the first course of action, and someone else dispelling it would all be much more, those would be a little bit more involved in most cases, but he'll try to crawl, slide.
Yeah, you were kind of maneuvering over.
Puddle his way over to that water genasi.
Sure.
And we'll just kind of, flop his way over and I'm sorry, but bit of trouble here. Did you mean to do this?
And they kind of are slowly, again, remember you're moving at a sloth pace, are just slowly maneuvering in your direction. And you see their mouth is kind of like lopsided on this face, kind of looking a little Joker-esque, a little bit, like a little bit creepy. You see the sentence forming before they're able to actually say it, which is no. As they are kind of saying it and looking a little bit alarmed, but also you see, based off of your passive perception, they're a little intrigued. It's the science of it all, but no, this is not what they were trying to do.
Right. Okay, so if we're moving this snail's pace and that's not what he's trying to do, Then what were you trying to accomplish then?
And again, after a minute or two, you get a response. And you see the hand kind of moving up and down. And you see all of a sudden he starts to just make it go from wavy to just a solid movement.
Okay.
With the knowledge you have, you recall when he entered the shop, he was already...
He was, wibbly wobbly.
Yeah. So, what would that potentially mean?
He was trying to cure a ailment he walked in with, or
Correct.
he's trying to reverse a condition.
Mm-hmm.
Instead, he just spread it to everyone else.
Yeah.
So.
Yes.
All right. Oh, right. So, how did this get started?
Homework. Sorry, this is me laughing. This is not him laughing at all.
Yeah. Right. What was the spell that started this homework mistake?
And all you see are the shoulders. Wherever they may be, they're kind of down where the hips would probably be normally. Kind of slowly raising up and then raising back down.
More information helpful. Details how you jelly.
At this moment, you hear another kind of squelching noise. And looks like Gorgon has slowly made their way over here.
Right.
And is looking... I keep thinking of the aliens from Jimmy Neutron.
Right.
Is looking between the two of you. And goes... If he is saying it as slow, I'm not going to slow down speech.
Yeah.
But basically says, if he doesn't know, we can still figure it out.
And then he's
And he looks towards you in that moment.
Yeah.
And he goes, have you learned about counterbalance?
Have I learned about counterbalance?
Roll a history check.
All right,
Or
let's do
Arcana.
that. They're both the same. It does not matter. So 17.
Okay. You've heard of it, but you have not had any experience with it. At Helm, they have a very specific way, and that was the way that you described it earlier, a dispel, and breaking concentration.
Yep.
This is probably something they teach over at the Bard School, which is a completely different method of how they could potentially break a spell. Such as creating a counter spell.
Right. And so I say, shouldn't we grab a professor then, if we don't know? We need help.
We're gonna be here all day if that happens. So, what I suggest we do is we have to counterbalance it. So if we're blobs now, he looks at the water genasi, we need to even it out. We need to get something that would anchor us.
Anchor. We're blobs. Anchor. The blobs.
So
Ah.
what's the opposite of a blob kind of thing?
A stone. Do you know stone shape? Do you know bark skin? Do you know and then he goes, I've got something. Or I've got something.
Sure.
And then he pulls open the spell book. Oh my god. I hope this does not do things that are bad for us.
Okay.
Cal has Rhymes Binding Ice
Okay.
that will do damage,
Okay. So
but he's gonna try
Gorgon
to see if...
sees that you're about to cast, and quickly as the blob form will go, you see him extending his arm to where your cauldron was up above you, and flips out the liquid and brings it down so you can cast the spell into the cauldron.
Got it. Okay. So then Cal does that. He like makes his way, he opens Drick's book, and like as he opens the book, Drick's kind of like hops off the cover, and he's like basically his projection is still there, but sitting next to you could ask. You don't have to flip the page. All right, Drix. Ice. I need ice. Why did you say so? And so they end up casting. He kind of tries to angle his hand in such a way to where the cone, because it's supposed to be a 15-foot cone, or
Sure.
actually a 30-foot cone.
Yep, you're
so he's trying to like, boom, like just make the cone hit the cauldron right now. And so he's and he casts Rhymes Blinding Ice then.
Okay. So, and the ice does form. I imagine actually to kind of flavor it better, you all kind of rolled yourselves out of the way as you were.
Right.
And then the way your arm extended after seeing Gorgon do this, does that. And the ice takes. Gorgon will roll forward. And you see his hand focus in, and similar to what you saw earlier today, a small sheet of glass starts to form above it.
Okay.
He is casting a miniature wall of force as well to kind of help add into this. Right now, there's nothing that's happening. However, you can see that there's already some sparks of magic starting to come from the cauldron itself as you're starting to create a potion of spells to counteract it.
Right. Okay, all right.
Okay. We need something natural. Your
Something
rock
natural.
idea is what he says. Does anyone have a rock?
Does anyone have a stone? Cal will try to cast.
No,
Mage-
moment
no.
he sees you casting, he immediately raises his hand up, which is of course super slow. It just, no more magic, natural. We have to counterbalance it.
Oh, right. Are there any, you said this was a stone mostly building that we were in. Is there any place around the walls between any of the stone bricks that hold this place together that maybe a little loose, like
Roll a perception check.
we'll do that. He's
You see everybody else around you as this is happening, by the way, has not moved. They have accepted their fate and are just kind of laying there.
Yo, why are my perception checks hitting nat 20s today? Because
Listen!
double, 2 nat 20. I've never rolled 2 nat 20s in a single session in my life, and all of a sudden they're both on.
It's because you don't have Deodora, Aurea, and Blackstone to look at you and be like, "What are you doing?"
Right. Since I'm, the pressure's on, the anxiety is high. No one's watching my back right now. So yeah, he actually is trying to find any loose rock in the room.
You spend, honestly, in game time, it takes you about 20 minutes just to move around the room.
Oh my.
It takes you a while.
Well, he's just looking. He wasn't going to cast a stone spell. He was going to try to cast Mage Hand to go find.
But still, you're having since you're still on the floor, you're not able to raise yourself up, so you're having to move around the room to get that really good look. You don't see anything in the immediate area, but then you remember, Gorgon was working in a kitchen. There are coals back there.
There are. And so
you are able to grab a couple of coals as well as some rocks that are back there that they were using to stoke the fire.
Nice. Could Mage Hand like speed this up to where I don't have to, like, as soon as I see it, could I Mage Hand it to us into the cauldron?
You could certainly try.
He's gonna try. He's gonna try to Mage Hand this. Do I need to roll for whether or not that's successful? What am I rolling?
Roll a d12.
A d12. All right. Certainly will. That's an 8.
Okay. It does bring you the rock. However, the cauldron also now has whatever color your mage hand has been added to the cauldron.
It is green, so now the cauldron looks all green and everything. Yep. Because he has Cal's mage hand is like a luminescent moss kind of green.
Sure. Yep. Nope. So that's now what it looks like.
Yep. All right.
Now bright green.
Right. Oh, sorry. Did I spoil it? Basically, is what he'll try to say to Gorgon,
whose eyes had been, like, in that time focusing on the water genasi, and you just see them slowly coming into your direction. Yep.
No.
That's why I said no magic. You're a firstie, aren't ya?
A bit.
It shows.
Sorry. Just trying to help.
That's okay. Yeah, no. And you see he just slowly lifts the cauldron up. And you see him try to dump it, but everything is, like, stuck into place. He's like, well... And he just rolls the cauldron away and reaches over to where the water genasi was sitting, reaches up to where they were having some steak, pops that out. The water genasi actually starts helping themselves to that steak, is trying to eat it while they're still in the form. Yep. And starts to redo it. And
for some reason in my mind, I know you said the water genasi was already like shifting forms when they walk in the room, but for some reason now that you said that they're eating steak off the floor, I'm picturing, like, from basically the reference that I can come up with is from a Goofy movie, or where Pauly Shore's character was just like
100%. Yes.
This water genasi is now just Pauly. This over here.
Much. Yep. But you do see that Gorgon is kind of meshing the things together. And he's not only just doing it in front of you, he's showing you, like, what he's doing.
Okay.
Which is, and he does have you cast the ice spell again.
Again.
As that happens, though, he ends up taking his wand next to his side, which is a little bit strange. The wand is in the shape of a spoon, like a large mixing spoon.
Love that.
And he is actually crushing up the elements. It's almost like this cauldron is turned into a mortar. And he's combining the elements together. And he brings... he's like, excuse me. And picks up some water from your glass that was up at the top and pours a little bit in. And you see the elements starting to mix together. No longer that green Shrek color, but now more of a kind of a mud color. And after a little bit, the mud starts to dry and solidify. And he just takes it, and you see him smatter it on his face, like a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And you slowly see things are starting to come back together for him. It's very much still a little bit of a blob. You know, his lower half is coming together as he's slowly coming back up. And after about a good 10 minutes, he's upright. Full capacity. He leans down. Do you mind?
By all means.
And he quick little tap on the cheek, and you feel immediately it's an unpleasant feeling. It's like fire going through your veins, but not in a very painful way. It's like when your arm has fallen asleep.
Yeah, pins and needles everywhere.
And needles. Or the fire if it's really been a long time.
Right.
And you can feel yourself slowly orientating. He does go around the room, and you see, honestly, it looks like all of you are doing some kind of breakout dance, because all of you are, flash mobbing it.
It's a flash mob.
Yep, as you all are coming slowly back to yourselves. After about 20 minutes, you're back. You're still moving a little slow, but you're whole.
And the first thing he'll do is he'll flick his hand and summons his quill, his glass pen, and pops his spell book back onto the table and starts writing down in the back of the book counterbalance. Like, he's like, okay, I need to remember this one. All right, so we needed magic of opposite types, no additions, no magical additions, and natural material, grind, and smear.
Gorgon, after making sure everybody is up, does wander over, and gives you some notes of like, okay, the most basic of things is basically correct. You want to have whatever is the spell is doing. Like if it's something that's making something a liquid, you need something solid, like force or ice. And for kind of like cooking.
So not opposite in source, but opposite in effect.
Source and effect.
Right.
But for every bit magic, you need something element. It has to balance.
Oh.
So 2 parts magic, 2 part natural.
Half and half. And so he's being much nicer than his IRL namesake. He's not grabbing me with his hand.
No, you can see he's taking that moment and just making sure you understand. Because he's also saying this not only to you, but he's also saying this to the water genasi who's sitting next to you a little sheepish. Who you already heard the yelling that was happening of the bread and I'm a certain kind of sandwich for sure. And him just saying, hey, maybe don't just say random words out loud.
Right.
Or if you do, make sure you're far away from others kind of thing. That kind of discussion. And he does give you a little bit of like I said, the kind of just the theories and principles of it. He does explain that it gets a lot more complicated when it comes down to it. But that's the Cliff Notes version of what counterbalance is. And he does talk about how it's the equivalent of like counter spell, stopping something from taking place. This is always already something that has happened and can be done when dispel magic, which can sometimes make things worse, or breaking concentration are not options.
Right. And so as he's like finishing up, I noticed the difference in tone between like going pretty scolding on the water genasi but being more what's the word I'm
it's
thinking
like
of?
He's speaking to a fellow craftsman.
He's being more didactic to me
Yes.
than he's being towards the that's the word I was searching for. He was being more like didactic in his tone to me, but like being more scolding onto the water genasi.
Yep.
But picking up on all of that. So sorry. Sorry, not to introduce myself. I'm Kaldrix Derak, Clan Derak, first year at Helm.
Yeah, you kind of screamed a little bit of a Helm student.
Oh, did I scream? I didn't mean to.
No. I just mean Helm students specifically have a very way of looking at things.
Do we? How do we look?
No. I just mean you have a very... You're the one that likes to make outlines of how you're going to handle things.
Oh, love an outline.
Yeah,
Love an outline.
That makes that. Yep.
Do you not? Do you not work from recipe?
Not always.
Okay then. Right.
There's more than one way to do magic.
I'm learning that. I'm learning how that there's I've seen other ways.
Especially
I'm not
you
sure.
may not have those resources. Like, what would have happened if you were in an area where magic, you were unable to do it? What would you have done?
Panic, likely.
Mm-hmm. Out in the wild, that probably wouldn't go well.
No. That's what they tell me. But in any case, so thankful. Thank you. Gorgon, was it?
He gestures at the cauldron,
Yeah.
which does say his name, yeah. Yeah.
I thank you so much, and I'm interested. I'm interested again. What assignment got you into this mess, friend? And he looks at the water genasi.
And he kind of leans forward and ushers for you to like lean in like this is a secret. Life. And kind of just pats you on the back and slowly starts making his way back to the kitchen to get back to orders.
Oh, no. He wasn't asking Gorgon which assignment. He was asking the water genasi. Like, because the water genasi said...
Got it. I misunderstood. Gorgon is still going to say that.
Yeah.
Kind of lean forward, because maybe it was looking like you were addressing the both of them because they were standing near each other.
Right.
He says that
Gorgon,
he wanders off.
As he wanders off, Cal, like, he says, like, life and goes off, and Cal looks at the water genasi. Which course program assigns life?
The water genasi. You can see now that he's not shifting constantly. Has silver kind of flowy hair. Looks almost like a mix of a Triton and a water genasi.
Sure.
The ears are kind of webbed. Really large eyes. Skin that is shifting between blue and then all of a sudden like a light beam of sun on a river, kind of that bright light for a moment, just constantly shifting between those two kind of things, not changing shape like he was,
right?
But it's a constant shift, and you can actually see like honestly patterns of like waves and stuff, ripples moving around. He's got little tufts of like sea foam that is going through his hair.
So he'd be more of seal skin than he would
correct.
Scales kind of deal.
Correct.
Got it. Love it. So yeah, Cal will go. I'm sorry, I didn't understand our friend, but you said homework got you into this mess. Exactly what assignment were you working on?
I had to, design my own magic.
Oh, did you now?
Yeah, for the course that I'm in, we've got midterms coming up, and so I was supposed to come up with a spell that would help out with, if, there's a reef or something like that in the water, and you need it to kind of move because you don't want to destroy, I didn't want to destroy the ecosystem that's down there. I just need to move so I can get something kind of thing, to help out, at the museum for explorers and stuff that want to do that kind of thing. I really like history. So it was more so looking into that of finding a way to kind of temporarily liquefy something, so that way you could pass by it or through it without doing damage. And that didn't really work.
Oh, but it was a brilliant idea still. It's wonderful in concept. I'm sorry, I didn't catch your name, friend. Are you an archaeology student? Did you come here? Are you first year like me?
Oh, you are asking a lot of questions all at once.
Right. And Drix will be almost kind of. Drix is on top of the spell book now. Drix is doing full Jeff Goldblum on top of the spell book.
Sure.
You gotta answer one before you ask another there. That's sorry.
Name's Sky. First off, a little bit of archaeology, sure. It was a problem that pops up at home a lot, so I was just trying to do that first, and then, if everything went well, would propose it to, people that could perhaps pay to have that done. If you know what I mean. Right. And he kind of gives you a little bit of a sheepish look.
Oh, okay, so if it worked, you were going, oh, for profit. Oh, yeah,
yeah.
Of course. Magic for profit. Yeah, of course, the magical economy. It's no shame. But yeah, I saw that the chef here was a bit harsh on you, and it was quite unpleasant of an experience for sure. However,
they're worse. It's fine.
Oh, have you? Okay.
Yeah. No, it's fine.
so not your first year then.
No.
Right. Oh, does this happen often? Is this how Magical University goes?
No, I guess for me, it hasn't really worked out. I was at Helm first, and then I moved over to Param. Just haven't really found the right fit. Trying to figure it out, and find out what's the best way for me to kind of learn and stuff.
Right. But
everybody has a very specific way of doing things, especially around here, and it's a lot of expectations. So.
Oh, don't they? Don't I know? I find that I often think I understand the instructions, and then I don't. I certainly don't. If you just, what's good? What's great? A written manual. I can always follow instructions in a written manual, but then as soon as someone's just trying to be vague gestures or talking, it all gets very muddled, doesn't it, Nan?
No. You see, when you brought up a tome with instructions, very set, the look of anguish on his face quickly popped up, and then as soon as you described the ladder of kind of loose descriptions and kind of not a step-by-step, but more of a kind of interpretation of it, he looks slightly relieved at the latter. So you're getting quickly, he's the complete opposite of you in terms of his kind of style and how he learns. And that might be perhaps why he hasn't properly found his niche, so to speak.
Yeah.
I'm really sorry for the trouble I caused. I'm happy to get you some more soup, and I think I'm just gonna get out of here and see if I can do some more tweaking with the spell.
No, that's no worries. I just wanted to tell you, friend, it's okay that you it's okay that you made me a puddle. It's all right that you made and I'm guessing, okay, just realized Finn out of game. I just realized that I never checked to see if our language would turn back, but I'm assuming that it did.
Yeah.
As soon as the spell was over. But he goes, I want you to know it's that you didn't make a bad mistake today. I just wanted to let you know, because I'm always worried that I've made a mistake that has upset someone, but you didn't make a bad mistake today. It's all you're very ambitious with this spell. Sky.
Yeah.
You're very ambitious with the spell, Sky, and honestly, it's hard to imagine being that ambitious with a spell. I had a similar assignment that I'm still working on, trying to make sure that I can remember what things look like when I don't have time to write them down. And he looks over to where we can still see Gorgon working over there.
Themselves behind the counter and is just honestly is acting, and again, this is so on brand for a bard, acting like nothing happened. The performance is still going on, kind of thing. 100%.
Stone face.
Yeah.
There are no mistakes. Yes, and
annoyed. Yeah, maybe looking slightly annoyed, seeing a little bit of a vein, just because he's lost some time and kind of some of these orders and stuff like that that have come in. But otherwise, he's focused and cool as a cucumber in terms of right back into his element.
Well, you see, Drix has his eyes glow a little bit of that same green that where the mage hand was, and as he blinks them, you hear kind of a click, or Sky would hear kind of a click, and he goes, "You see, this is what I'm trying to do here." And as he turns away from Gorgon and more towards I'm guessing we're facing the door now.
Sure.
Eval, and he reaches out his hand, and a projection of the view he was just looking at shows up. It's kind of 16-bit,
Sure.
Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis pixel art. Can't quite get it looking exactly like that. I'm catching a lot of details here, but I'm working still on this one. But obviously, trying to play it much safer with some of my assignments than you are, so I can understand why, if you were a little more adventurous, you'd want to be somewhere further than Helm. They seem a little strict on the accidents.
Just a bit, yeah.
But will there be any lasting effects?
No, there shouldn't be any more. Gorgon over there, I think, saw to that. I mean, he's not one of the number one seniors for nothing. So I think we'll be all right.
Right. Okay. All right. Okay. Right. Okay. Okay. All right. You said back home. I'm assuming, and he tries to point in the general direction of the sea. You said back home. I'm assuming it was. What did you say the name of the sea was that we were next to?
Whisperian.
The Whisperian Sea. I'm assuming you're Whisperian.
No.
in origin, or did you come from? And then he like points like to the other, like he's doing the compass directions.
Yeah, no.
Which compass direction you be?
I'm from Lornan, which is way up north.
Oh, a northerner.
Mm.
And like he like
You're a little intense as soon as you link into that movement.
all of his you know, the I imagine that Cal's posture is inversely related to his comfort.
Sure.
The more anxious he is, the more straight his spine will be, the more rolled back his shoulders, and the more comfortable he is, like the more
Yeah, it
hunch.
relaxes a bit.
Yeah, and or even to the, like, not even just relax, like if he's engaged and intense, he's like even hunched, like he turns into goblin mode when he gets interested, and he hunches full goblin mode when he hears from the north, and he goes, "Oh, I'm from the root bed. Have you ever heard of the root bed, Siderox tree?"
Yeah, I haven't gone that far up, but no, I've heard of it at least.
Oh, certainly. Right. Not many have. I'm finding. In fact, you're the first that knows we exist that I've come across so far. Most don't.
Well, I did say history was a bit of a interest.
Oh, of course. Most of them haven't seen a lot of gemborns in the city, if you would.
Sure.
But do you mind helping me find my way somewhere? I've got an appointment in a couple of days, and if you know the Tenora farm, I might need some help finding my way across the city, because as you might can tell, hiking down the road and hiking country lanes, not too difficult for me. But the city kind of scares me.
Oh, it's not that bad. If you just stick to the main roads, it's not too bad. Especially once you get out of the erudite quarter.
Oh, I haven't yet, actually.
That's, I think, part of the problem. And
Okay,
he kind of gives you a look.
right.
You might want to.
I imagine he is that guy, like, that started, came from a small town but went to school in the big city and never left the metro. Like wherever campus was at a 5-block radius.
Yep.
And he hasn't
Uber
left.
Spots picked out of like. Where
He knows the Uber spots.
And...
He knows what he's doing.
Yep.
But he hasn't. In fact, this job search is the first. He didn't even go in person. He sent letters to these job hunting.
And Sky
things.
will pop up for a second, be like, maybe just when you're not having these meetings, take a day or two and explore the city. You might find better spots. Just because I'm figuring myself out, so I have work I need to do, but
right.
There's take a walk through the temple district. They've got a ton of stuff. You seem to be very interested in history. They've got a ton of stuff there. There's of course the museo, which is it's right on that opposite side, and he kind of gestures along the wall to the complete opposite side of Erudite Quarter from where you're at, where there's a you've seen it before, but it's always at a distance. It's a building that has a pillar that reaches up into the sky. It's the biggest one next to at least in this quarter, next to some of the libraries that pop up or the colleges. But yeah, go do a walk, see the ocean, go see some ships. Like there's a lot out there than just the stuff that you're learning in your books.
All right, the temple district, the docks. Drix, could you remind me? Oh, I'm sorry. Sky, this is Drix. Drix, this is Sky. And then Drix stands up. The 6 schools of magic are evocations. And then stops himself this time before Cal does. Hello, I am Drix, the magical spellbook companion. What can I do for you? And Cal goes, we're still talking through greetings and meeting people. He's not learned. I apologize. He's not really learned how to meet new people
That's
quite
fine.
just yet.
He's pretty cool. But it's a pleasure to meet you, and he does give you a look as well, Cal. It's a pleasure to meet you too. I'm sorry. I'm plumb embarrassed, and I just kind of wanna.
Oh, of course.
But it's been very nice meeting you, and I do hope that we run into each other, especially around the city. Get out of the stuffiness of Erudite Quarter.
Right. That would be a good thing to do.
That's your homework. I think he just gives you a little bit of a meaningful look.
Are you a TA?
No.
Can you give credit for a course?
Goodbye, Cal. He just
Totally.
starts walking out.
Cal totally misses the annoyance and the I'm done with this. He's oblivious. He's like, well, goodbye, Sky. Goodbye, Sky. Then.
Goodbye.
And then he turns back and starts, gathering his things and, sits down at the table and just This is the sit and breathe portion of hypersensitivity.
Mm-hmm.
So much action. So Cal sits to let the fan whir, let the gears turn.
Sure.
And Drix, did you get all that? Oh yeah. I mean, I was watching the whole time. Most of the time, post Jelly, I was watching, and you're just seeing it from this side really does make one wonder. Wonder what? How you lived this long? Just how you functioned up to this point. But then again, we all know how you got into school here. And gestures to himself.
Sure.
Right. Okay. So then we go. I might have lost my appetite for the moment. But why don't we head back home? Why don't we just head back to the room? And Drix goes, I was thinking the Temple District instead. Okay, all right. So, right, Al is still too processy to really fight back with Drix. Temple District. Oh, all right then. All right. So in the back you go, and Temple District. Right. Just make sure you give me the tour once we're there. And so Cal grabs his book. Drix dissipates into it, puts it into his satchel, and he thinks about waving goodbye to Gorgon.
Mm-hmm.
Catches the what was the half elf's name?
Never got it.
I never got it.
Yeah, she left it a little bit covered up.
I turn to wave to Gorgon, but then I see
even more annoyed. How this afternoon is gone.
Totally forgot that she was there, but then as he turns to go wave to Gorgon, sees her first and just goes, nope, never mind, and starts to head out the door.
Okay.
Hood back up, reattached, ready to go to the Temple District.
Okay. And as you step out onto the damp, stoned ground, as it is pouring at this point,
Right.
the whole encounter of what you just were doing, it felt like minutes. It took you, as you're looking at your little sundial, almost 3 hours in terms of moving and trying to get everything together. So we're firmly getting into the evening.
I actually picture, can I do this real fast?
Sure.
I picture when you said hit your little sundial, catching on my own thing about not realizing you had said rainy day and saying that there was sunlight in my room. Now I'm actually thinking about how is his sundial working if it's still raining outside.
There's still a little bit of light, like, lets you know.
I kind of picture that Cal would have a pocket watch version of a sundial.
Sure.
That in low light situations just has a little orb cast light and just cast the right shadow
Sure.
if there's not natural light above him.
I love that.
So he's got just like he pulls out his little sundial pocket watch and sees that we lost a lot of time there. But then looks up and he sees the steeple that Sky had pointed out on the horizon and starts heading that way.
Okay.
So
in the rain, as it's falling around you and settling into the evening, you head down the cobblestone road to the museum to further explore the city. And who knows? There may be a friend waiting for you. And with that, we are going to go ahead and end our interlude for today. It was a little unexpected with what was happening. Thank you so much for hanging out with us today and getting to know Cal a little bit more. A little over 2 years before the campaign started, so this is kind of cool.
thanks.
To kind of see and explore a different kind of magic. That was kind of fun to introduce today.
Right. Right. Because
That'll
Cal
be
has
fun.
not. Cal has still not met the party, so he doesn't know. He doesn't know any of what Aurea does. He doesn't know. I guess he was familiar with.
Does.
No, he wasn't familiar with. He wasn't familiar with. Or he was familiar with druids before.
Sure.
Toby. So Toby was probably the least shocking and surprising of the group, but like, this would have been his first. Besides druid and book magic.
Mm-hmm.
Those two he grew up knowing about.
Sure.
All of this new stuff has been
Illuminating.
wild. Just wild.
But thank you all so much. We are gonna cut out of here for now. You're gonna probably see the screen go black for a moment because we're gonna cut stream, and then it'll be Blackstone's turn in the chair. I'll be back here with Sin. But Finn, always such a pleasure. Do you have anything you want to say before we get out of here?
I want to say that love is love, trans rights are human rights, Black Lives Matter, and everyone that keeps watching and playing these games along with us, you guys are just the best because it just... this is the best multiplayer that ever has been done in life, and that's what I appreciate about you.
For sure. Make sure to go check out our Patreon, our YouTube, all the socials for more updates and stuff, and come back here next week for our Season 2 premiere. Once again, thank you all, and from Beyond the Veil, we'll see you later. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.